Good evening, Facebook land and YouTube land as well. I'm Josh from Operational Speed Supply, and tonight we've got an awesome show in store for you. We are introducing to you the Operational Group Race Team. It should be an awesome night. We're going to hear the stories of how everyone got their start and became avid racers in their own right. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off to Audrey, and let's get this show started tonight.
Before we dive in, can we at least give some love to the guy that made that intro for OSS SITREP?
Yeah, that was Braden. Braden, one of the four cornerstones of Operational Speed Supply, put in some hard work making that intro. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, great job. So word on the street is that people like being interviewed by me from time to time. I haven't figured out why yet, but I figured this would be a great opportunity to come back and interview the drivers from the OSS OG race team. We're down 2 drivers, but we've got Josh, obviously, Brian Pico, Chris Brown, Tim Gordon, and who I know as either Marky Mark or Good Lovin'. So Mark Goodlovin, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, just roundtable discussion. Let's start with Brian. Brian, how long you've been racing for?
Full time since 17, but started in 2012 after I got the car together. Took a little break, and but once I rebuilt the car in 17, it's been pretty full throttle since then.
Cool. How long you been racing for?
Oh, sorry. I think you kind of faded out there. Are you asking me?
Oh, yeah, Chris. How long you been racing for?
So I've been casually autocrossing like 2015 and 2016 and got really hardcore into it right around the 2017 mark. So got into it with because of a buddy and just, been kind of doing it ever since.
Yeah. Tim, how about yourself? How long you been racing for?
Started 2017 and didn't really get serious about it until, really just a few years ago. But I got into it because of my brother, and it was a good way to, keep your driving skills sharp, especially with the work I do. So 2017 started, I'd say 2020, 2019, somewhere in there, got a little serious about it.
Okay. Mark, how long have you been racing for?
As long as I can remember. I think it started out with Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Cars, BMX, racing at 16, stock cars, road racing motorcycles. But as far as what we're talking about, really, 2009, 2010 was a multifaceted pro touring event. Really opened my eyes to street cars and performance that they can do. So, like, in 12 years ish.
Okay. And Josh Jones.
Yeah, so very similar to Mark. I've been racing since I was a little kid. I used to have the Hot Wheels racetrack sitting in the house, and I'd crash the cars and they didn't dent enough for me, so I'd go out to the shop, grab my dad's pliers and bend them up more. Moving on to bicycles as a kid, I'd have 10 different bicycles I'd find in random places, take them apart, make them faster, or so I thought. Probably not, but moving on. And then in 2008, went to an Evo Performance Driving School ran by Mike Johnson. They did one of their military programs at Fort Campbell, and I have been hooked ever since.
Cool. So this doesn't have to go in order. Whoever has an answer, feel free to throw it out. One of the reasons why we wanted to introduce the race team to the community through SITREP today is just to really share what the mission is of the race team. What's the goal? So really the first question that I have is what's the why? Why are we here? Why are you being a part of this team?
So I'll go ahead and start off with that one. I created this race team because I wanted to have a way to outreach to a community, to basically to build our own community. I want to bring in people, and we wanted to have a group of people that shared the same interest, their love of racing. But not only do they share their interest and love of racing, they want to reach out and help others pursue that same passion. Helping people become faster, help them with their car setups. And if they don't have their car, then, give them something to ride in. And, I'll share a quick story on that. In 2014, I sold what I had at the time was a very well set up 5th gen Camaro in the E Street prepared class for the SECA stuff. I sold that thing. And right after I sold it, I was driving through Arizona to go to a military school, and Tom and Val Pichette offered me their keys. I'd met them twice before. They gave me the keys to their 2014 SS, and I went and ran Good Guys All-American Sunday in it, having never met them more than just hanging out at a couple different races. So I wanted to build a community that would do that for each other and for others to help them continue to pursue their passions. And that was kind of the intent and idea behind the Operational Group Race Team.
Well, and what's interesting about that too is you're inspiring people through the race team, but you're also you're inspiring people to pursue their passion, but then you're also inspiring people who don't even know that the passion exists yet.
Mm-hmm. It's multi-layered, like Josh says. This community, there's like the race team, there's a whole community that's different than any other racing I've done, and I've done a few different things, but more here than anywhere else, people helping people get faster and better at it. But even if they're not racers, if you're out there in the event on base and you're taking people for rides just to enlighten them, it makes a difference for them and yourself. And then I don't participate as much as the core team does, but as they network and help each other go faster and they get more on a technical side on how to build along with driving technique, it's the people that make the difference.
I couldn't agree more. I want to tag team kind of off of both of those same thought processes. So, why I got into it was a buddy peer pressured me in the first place. To kind of circle back to that too, I was kind of looking for a direction as to what I wanted to do. It was 2015. Started out with this Mustang. Didn't really have even an idea of what I wanted to do with it. I bought it. I knew I wanted to put a manual in it, and I wanted to drive it and have fun. That was my goal at 18. And that was all I wanted to do. So my buddy Mark actually ended up coming out and was like, hey, you should try autocross. So started out and, did my first event, did one run, and I had only signed up for a 50% of the day. Did one run, went right back to the registration table, signed up for the other 50% of the day, and have basically been to every event locally ever since. But not only that, I ended up having some engine issues back in 2017 with the factory engine. So I decided to put a Coyote in that Mustang at that particular point. But at that point, I had just finished college. Money was fairly tight. So it took me a while to do that. So basically, that same buddy, Mark, was always willing to give me his car. We actually drove together for that entire year at every single event in 2018. And he basically would let me take it right now and go run any event with it wherever I want. Whenever I had the accident in that same car down there at Summit Point, I had an offer for 4 or 5 different cars from people that were just trying to help out. It's all about that community and trying to help people grow and, just supporting each other and all that stuff. So that's kind of the why for me is it's the people 100%. The cars are fun. Don't get me wrong. The competition's great, but the people are, even better.
Well, I got into it in 2012. So in 2010, let me back up even further than that. I remember growing up, I always wanted a first-gen Camaro. And this is well before, the whole Bumblebee craze with the 5th gen and all that. But I wanted it, for whatever reason, canary yellow with black stripes. I don't know. I just like that. Now that I have one, it's been 3 different colors and none of them are yellow. So I guess maybe the Bumblebee thing, ruined that for me. But so I always wanted
Technicolor Camaro.
My stepbrother had one and had this car, and I was in Iraq, got a little bonus money, called him up, said, "Hey, do you want to sell it?" He said yes. He gave me a price. I didn't negotiate. Knowing what I know now, I don't know. Maybe it's not too much. Considering what I did to it, it was too much, because when I was rebuilding it, I found a '68, just the body, no fenders, no doors, no suspension or nothing. And with the title, and I could have gotten that for $800. I wish I would have. Anyway, so I bought the car in Iraq, and that was in, I don't know, January, and I didn't come home until April. And just so happens that what was it talking about? Boy in blue teeth. Oh, cute teeth.
I shared it to a couple of groups, so there's going to be some interesting comments, I'm sure. Yeah,
they're messing with you. Nice. That's good. That threw me off. But the cool part is I went into the PX in Ramadi, Iraq, and there was a Camaro Performers magazine right after I made the deal, and I was like, "Oh, perfect." And I'd never heard of Camaro Performers before, so I picked up that magazine and just got to reading, and that's when I learned what pro touring was. And that's when I learned how expensive building this car was going to be. So I come home. I drove the car until like November, and I tore it down. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I just jump in feet first. Don't do a whole lot of research. So they're real easy to tear apart if you don't know. So I had it in a million pieces, and so then I found someone here that can do some work, and it turns out I had it blasted. Turns out I needed a floor pan, trunk pan, 2 quarters, rear taillight panel, driver door. It'd been all smashed up. It had more Bondo in it. Funny story. I drove it to a local shop, and I got auto body shop, and the guy looks at it, and he's bing, 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 bing. He's like, "Wow, man, this car is pretty clean. It ain't got any they don't have much Bondo in it at all." The left quarter, it must have been about that thick. After it got blasted off, it was miserable. Anyway, so I built it. My first event was Run to the Hills 2012, and we go out there. I drove it out from Eastern Carolina. It's like 6 hours. I drove it out, raced it, drove it back, and was hooked. So try to figure out more events. While I was out there, I won a coupon, free coupon for Mike's school, Evo. Went to that. And then I went to CMP for Detroit Speed's SummerSlam, and that was in April of 2013. And the 383 stroker had already given me a bunch of problems during the rebuild. And I ended up blowing a rear main seal, and I never drove that car again. So I sold that engine, and then I went to Afghanistan, and then I turned around and went to Kuwait. So the car sat in 2007 until 2016, and I really started building on it again. And it's kind of evolved since then. And so it's just got hooked on racing, and as Chris said, man, it's all about the family, because we have so many racing friends. I probably have more racing friends now than I have regular friends. So I've got 3 racing friends, and some of you aren't it, but so anyway, it's so much so. I mean, it's such a family that, I mean, when we go to UMI 3 times a year, we don't want to leave. I don't want to go to the hotel, so we bought a damn RV to pull the trailer, and yeah, the family is huge, and we look forward to going to all the events every year.
Yeah, so I guess I'm the only one left here. So kind of, like I said, got into the racing with my brother, and it started off as a way to just keep myself sharp, my driving skills, especially with my job. Being on patrol, you're always in a car. You're in a car sometimes 6, 7, 8 hours. You could be in there your whole shift, and that's your number one tool. So I got into it as something fun to do and just to keep my skills sharp. Well, the first event I did, I guess I did pretty well. Some people turned, "This is your first event? It's pretty amazing." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Not knowing whether or not I actually did well. But then we attended, maybe one more that year. And I was like, this is kind of fun. I'm getting really competitive with it. So then the competitiveness just took over, especially with my brother, Jeff. Some people watching may know him. Jeff Gordon, not the Jeff Gordon, not the Rainbow Warrior, but the Walmart version. He actually, he's very fast. So I try to keep up with him. And, the competitiveness actually took over, and we competed back and forth, and he'd win an event, then I'd win an event, then he'd win an event. And it was just back and forth constantly. And then I got into the Camaro, and it's a completely different world. So the competitiveness really kind of drove me. And then I actually didn't even know Josh until really, I didn't know him personally until this year when I reached out to him to buy coilovers because of, I was trying to be competitive and hopefully getting the King of the Mountain. So I reached out to him, and then, he asked me, "Hey, you want to be part of the team?" And it just took off from there. And it was just like, it was awesome meeting these new racers that had the same passion, that wanted to, keep pursuing this passion and then help each other out in the meantime. I can't tell you how many times we've talked about, racing in a chat, and people are like, "Hey, try this setting or adjust this a little bit, or maybe try this." So just pushing people to do more and to do better. That really took over. And even at this last event we did on Sunday, yesterday, that I kind of took some of that from our group, and I tried to spread that at our local event, where they put me as a novice instructor, and I watched people that I was kind of coaching get in their car and shave off 4 or 5 seconds, and move their times from being dead last to maybe, bumping up a few spots. And it was just awesome to see that. And I like to do that, and I always say, those that can't teach. I'm not the fastest, so maybe I could teach you something to better yourself. So that's a big driving factor for me.
So a theme that I've kind of noticed with all you guys is that racing is only a fraction of the experience. It's not just about racing. It's about the community. It's about what we can teach other drivers or people who are aspiring to be drivers. I wanted to give some recognition to the comments real quick. Ben Burkhart says Camaro over Mustang. True or false, guys?
True.
False.
Well, if you're talking about killing crowds, Mustangs.
I'll be the odd one out. I grew up as a Chevy guy the entire time of growing up. Always have been, always will be, but I want to build a Fox body Mustang. There is something about that 80s style that I love. I want to build a Fox body. I do not want a Coyote swap it. I want to throw a 351 Windsor in that thing and just run it to the moon, man. Keep it old school, right? And then maybe I'll bring it down here in Florida, and we'll go cruise down A1A with the top down.
There you go. Cues of vanilla.
We actually wanted to do that. My
Hey.
buddy's planning to go down to Sebring with the Mustang. So that was actually one of the things I wanted to do, was do exactly that. Cruise with the top down on the 97 after doing the race at Sebring. But unfortunately, the week before we were supposed to leave for that, I had to crash. So kind of cut that plan a little short.
Hey, if I may, we're talking about our reasons why. And if you don't know Brad Jude Long, get to know Brad. Good people. So, he races. He's got a daughter. It's Sophia, and she's a darling. She's just so stinking cute. And I'm not sure what her condition is, but he races for her. He says, "Sophie's my reason for racing, or my reason for interest in autocross. I started just over 3 years ago for her and others, kids with disabilities or disease. It's odd because of my love of racing, but more so to help her. She's 3, going to be 4 soon. So my finances limit what I can do. those who stepped up have been speechless. And then he replied some more. He said, it's bittersweet because of friends seeing me stressed because of her condition. At Children's Hospital talked to me stopping at a AHR SCCA event to unwind before heading to the hospital. You know, he's at UMI Performance, or at UMI Motorsports Park, and, you know, he goes there. So to see him out there with her and a smile on her face, and I remember, like, he had her, people were going off the track, and he had her, like, there as we would go. I feel bad, but I thought she was into it, revved up the engine a little bit, and as you know, my car's a little loud, and it really startled her, and then I felt bad. So now I'm a jerk. But she's all around the track. If you haven't had the opportunity to talk to her, go talk to her. She's a sweetheart. But I say all that to say,
angel.
Right, we have our own reasons. I think that trumps them all. So good on you, Brad, and we look forward to seeing you, bud.
Talking about the family too, actually, and just that aspect of it. So I had only met Brad maybe once or twice, but I remember him selling his C5, and he was actually selling it to JB. And actually, where I was going to pick up my new Mustang, I took it down for him, so it kind of saved them both a little bit. I only met JB one other time before that, but both those guys trusted me to transport that car, and I ended up moving it for him back in October, actually.
Yeah, because JB drove that down to Charlotte. Well, his wife drove it down, and he drove the RV down when I bought the RV from him. So I saw that car right after he got it.
Yeah, I was like middle of October. I want to say like October 17, 18, something like that. But I remember doing that, and again, hadn't really met the guys, but just wanted to help them out.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, we talk this community thing, you know, and that's why, you know, every one of us is raced at UMI Motorsports Park, and they build that community with the environment that they race in, and you know, that they set that environment up for that. So yeah, you know, it's a special thing to be able to do that. And you know, we talk about why we race and things like that. And, you know, I was talking to Ramey Wolmer from UMI a couple of weeks ago, and he made the comment of, we all have the ability to race. We're fortunate. There's some people that don't have that. And so if you've got the ability to get into a separate car that you bought and you built and you race, you've got the ability to give back. And it's important to do that in any way possible. You know, we talk about supporting rides and giving people rides at different events and things like that. And, you know, that right there, whether it's a 5-year-old child, 10-year-old child to a, you know, 45-year-old adult, grown man or woman, doesn't matter. You are giving them something to be excited about. And that can be a huge turning point for them in whatever their walk of life is. And that's something that I love about this community. And I kind of wanted to bring that together with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could just real quick, along with the whole, you know, I feel like the cars are bigger than just the event. Last year, I was actually diagnosed with MS, and that's why you see the orange on my car. That's actually, it represents the MS, and it kind of brings awareness. And people ask, you know, they come up and they say, oh, you know, what's this scheme or what's this mean on your car? And it's more than just the racing, you know what I mean? So it kind of, you can use your car and the racing as a tool to bring awareness, just as UMI does with their events, how they raise all this money. You know, it's more than just racing.
One of the responses I wrote for UMI event, it's like I said that I could tell you my story, and I could tell you stories of my friends, and I could tell you about the giveaways, and I could tell you about the donations, and I can tell you about the food, and I could tell you about the track, and I could tell you all these things, and you still won't get it as far as the experience being there and the community and the helping people. Ultimately it's a charity event. It is the highest paying out autocross event in the nation, possibly the world. But there's no other space like it. Now, that's not to say there aren't other good things. We did race on base. Mark Bowler does do Midwest Muscle Car Challenge for Cherries. Racing for Warriors does a great job for veterans. You can use your vehicle to help others and have a good time doing it.
Absolutely.
You know,
I think
definitely.
a barbecue set went at UMI for like, I don't know, $1,200. It was a barbecue set, some tongs and a fork.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. And, you know, one thing that's we've tried to replicate with our own series, Clarksville Autocross, is that same kind of atmosphere. We've started doing raffles this year, and we're only 2 events into it, and we've raised $652, and we're dedicating everything that we raise from these raffles that we're doing at the Autocross to the Emily Whitehead Foundation. And it's just special to see people show up. And the raffles that we're running were kind of ad hoc. That, you know, it wasn't. We have so little, you know, everything we do is off of volunteers. And so everyone is just working their tail off to make these events happen. And then we'll take our lunch break, but then someone will grab the raffle bucket and spend 30 minutes of their lunch break. Hey, let's do raffle stuff, you know, and people just pour it out. Like, you know, they'll start pulling 20s out of their pockets like it's candy and to give it away. So yeah, it's an awesome thing.
You know, kind of back to what Mark was saying in the beginning, that this is multi-layered, right?
Absolutely.
No,
Okay, next question I'm going to throw at you guys, because I love tricky questions or questions that make you think. The biggest lesson that the track has taught you, each of you as drivers.
Respect it.
Yes, you're not as good as you think you are. You
will humble you.
Like, you can think you're the fastest driver, the best driver in the world, and the moment you think that is when, you know, things go awry, and it could be anything.
That's when you end up a meme.
What's that?
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I mean, it could be anything from you know, a part breaks, or I mean, maybe you just overdrive a corner. You're not as good as you think you are, and it humbles you real quick.
What I was saying is that be careful or you end up a meme. I'm making fun of myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Melanie Henry turned Brian into a meme last year. He spun out on track, and she made a meme that says 30 coming at me like, and then it was a picture of Brian's car sliding through.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's hilarious. Melanie, if you're watching, you've got to repost that.
Tag me in it.
Yeah, I'll definitely tie in with those same 2 things. You know, obviously, as I said, you know, I had an accident. It was caused by a brake caliper failure. You know, like anything can happen at any given time. You know, nobody could have predicted that. Nobody's going to be able to save something like that. But like, you just need to be able to respect it, know that it's something like that is going to be able to happen. And I see Jeb Marks commenting, and yeah, there are a bunch of Chris Brown memes for the same reason. So, you know, between that, you know, some of them were self-made. I made a couple of Valentine's Day memes for my girlfriend that were probably a little on the inappropriate side as far as rolling and stuff like that. But whatever. Humor's good. Humor's humor, right?
No, it definitely is. Yeah, you know, you guys bring up humility. That's one thing. You know, I was taught humility through the build of my current car. I had a 5th gen for years, and I was pretty successful in it. Won a couple events, did well with the local region SCCA, and I got out of it, sold it, and then bought the 3rd gen, and I started getting back into the 3rd gen. And at the point in which I thought I had everything figured out on it, I had the big tires and 500 horsepower and every piece of UMI suspension you could put on it. And the car was like, this car should be the fastest car out there. No, it wasn't even close. And I learned quick, fast, and in a hurry that the guy behind the wheel needs to catch up to the car. And it took me a lot of time to get to that point, you know, and be able to drive not in the bottom half of the field. And I'll tell you right now, you know, the next event we go to, I could end up the bottom half of the field again. And so it's one of those things you show up, don't expect you're going to be the top guy there. You know, I've seen comments here, people saying humility and respect, and that's just it. The fastest driver in the world is going to have a time when they're not going to be the fastest person in the world. And everyone, no matter who they are, will always have someone that's faster than you. And so it's understanding that and then remembering what is your reasoning for being there. If you're trying to win trophies, well, you'll win a trophy, but you'll still won't be happy in the end. You know, and that's part of this community we talk about here. I mean, yeah, the racing's fun, but, you know, honestly, the racing's an excuse for us to all hang out.
On the humility side, I've passed Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and some exotic stuff, and some high-end Corvettes with mega wings. And on the flip side of that coin, I've had Neons and Cobalts and Miatas come by me when I thought I was really.
Fiestas.
Yeah.
Yep. Fiesta ST, Focus. So yeah, you're gonna get both sides of the coin if you play long enough.
Oh yeah, it's funny you bring that up because, you know, Tim's brother Jeff Gordon, he rocks a Cobalt, and that car is faster than most other cars you will see on the track, and it's a Cobalt.
It's annoying, is what it is.
It's funny you mentioned actually talking about the passing Ferraris too, because I actually, like, literally right before the accident, I pulled on a Ferrari right before turn 10 at Summit Point. I mean, put an absolute gapping on him, was going down the straight. I mean, everything was going real good. But so it was the highest moment of my life, and then the very lowest moment of my life was when I was upside down, you know, in the pebbles, unfortunately. So, you know, anything can happen.
You took him to Gapplebee's and then took yourself to the sink.
Unfortunately, yes, I did.
Hey, do we have a way
Any
to
more
share
thoughts?
pictures or a screen?
Yeah, we can share. You can share screen. You got a picture to show, Brian?
Yeah. I figured I would.
The arrow pointing up with the box is the share screen.
No, that's not what I want. Gotta pull it. Hold on, I'm trying to pull the picture. Give me a second.
Man, we might be here all night if Brian's trying to pull a picture up. All right. Brian pulls pictures up like he drives slow.
Ooh.
Can you give me permission? Can you give me permission?
Is it asking for it?
Yeah, it says I don't have permission.
I don't know. Here, just
So,
we'll post it up after. Is it the meme?
yeah.
Oh, here we go. There you go.
Do you see it now?
Don't see the picture. We just see your
Uh-oh.
screen. Pull your picture up and we'll show it. These sweet technical difficulties.
Is that it there? No?
No, right now all I see is your file folder. See?
Yeah, that's all I'm seeing too.
We'll post it up afterwards. We'll post it up afterwards.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I'll post a couple of my memes then too.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm all done with questions for the night. I think that you guys offer the community a lot. We've talked about staying humble in the process, you know, whether you're a racer or a spectator. We've talked about humility. Chris, anything can happen. That really stood out to me tonight. Tim, it stood out to me when you said that it keeps you sharp. I really enjoy listening to how racing and connecting with other people, how it translates to everyday life, and how it's not just about the build and it's not just about the track. There's so much more to it. Like Mark said, it's multi-layered. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you for allowing me to interview you.
Yeah, real quick before we cut out, I want to mention a couple things. Unfortunately, two of our drivers weren't able to make it tonight. Matt Burney from Mansfield, Massachusetts, rocking his 87 Camaro. Matt's a solid guy. And one thing about Matt, I want to mention, we talk about people that are, humility and whatnot. Well, Matt is a very, I'm choking on my words right now. He is, he shows humility in everything he does. Not only that, but he's very intelligent and he can speak the engineer side of it, as his job, engineer by day. And he provides so much knowledge when it comes to building a car and just setting it up to make it look right, And then I want to mention Hector Rivera. He another one of our drivers wasn't able to make it tonight. He's got so much knowledge that he is so willing to share when it comes to different things like aero and setup and his track day knowledge. The guy's got as many miles running around, NCM and Bowling Green as a lot of us have on the street in, a month's worth of time. The guy he spends a lot of time up there. And he is always willing to share that with anyone that wants to ask questions and listen. And so, both those drivers, they're both super people. Hector came down and ran Good Guys with me this last weekend. And, I really do feel that him being there and giving me some pointers and watching the car from a distance and kind of talking setup and things like that really helped hone in what I was trying to do. And so it was, it was a great time, but, I want to also capture the fact that when you're doing an autocross, you are on track for about 50 to 60 seconds and you might get 10 runs a day. So you're on track for a total of 6 minutes, maybe 10. And, the rest of that time, you're hanging out in the pits with your friends. You're talking, you're learning cars, you're hanging out with each other, and you're having a good time sharing it with people that come by like, oh, man, your car is so cool. You think my car is cool? My car looks rough, but you know what? Thank you. But, and that's what makes it fun. So it's a cool thing. So I'm talking too much, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for being part of this team with us and believing in me when I called you up and said, hey, I want you guys to be part of this. Not one of you hesitated or said, well, let me think about it or anything. It was all straight up. Hey, yeah, let's do this. Let's go have fun together. And I think every one of us is going to be at UMI this year. And Tim, hopefully we can get you in there on an invite for King of the Mountain, man.
Yeah.
But again, thank you guys for being part of this with us and, and believing in us for this. It's an awesome thing. So Brad, thanks for your story, brother. We really appreciate you sharing that with us. That means a lot to have you come and share that story of Sophia and everything like that. That's a very special thing. And looking forward to seeing you up in Pennsylvania again. And but yeah, it's awesome, guys. Thank you.
I want to thank you back.
Thank you.
A couple things I want to mention about all of this stuff is that, like, oh, it's all fun and it's all good time. There's an amount of commitment and effort that goes in with this stuff. Nothing happens by accident. It doesn't go smooth. It takes work. And so I appreciate that you guys are putting out the effort to let it happen and make it happen.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's well worth it. It's definitely well worth it because we're making friendships that will last a lifetime. But yeah, other than that, I think that kind of wraps it up, guys. Thank you again. To answer your question, Ramey, racers should buy their parts from Operational Speed Supply, ossparts.com. We are supplying some of the fastest racers in the country, and you're looking at a good portion of them right here. So, thanks again, guys. For you guys out in the audience watching, thank you. If you got any questions, hit us up, shoot us a message, send us a chat discussion board, whatever you want to do. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys out on the track again.
See you guys.